Hi, folks, this is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. I am, once again, simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle, and I hope you all have had a great evening, and I hope you enjoyed today, the Liberation Day for our nation's capital, a recapture of captured territory. How long has it been captured? I have no idea. It's been a long time. But we got it back now. But Hillary doesn't like it. Her tweet, as you listen to an unhinged Donald Trump try to justify deploying the National Guard in D.C. Here's reality. Violent crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low. Yeah, like we can trust those figures. Yeah, like last month, D.C.'s top cop didn't get fired for twisting the numbers. And we got a new whistleblower that came out and said, hey, I quit my job because they were trying to make me change the numbers. No, we're not fooled by you people anymore. But anyway, while we wait for people to get into the chats, I am going to go ahead and play a few videos for everyone's enjoyment. And I would like to remind everybody to hit the like button. It helps the video to get around. And I do appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's get like butter and be on a roll.
Heading back to the White House, Mr. Trump pledges to take swift and sweeping action to close the southern border and to deport millions of migrants here illegally.
Donald Trump's political career has been defined by his promise to deal with illegal immigration.
My administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history.
We've seen illegal border crossings drop 98%.
The southern border now, under his leadership, has the lowest number of illegal crossings in the history of the United States of America.
We are the face of why there is becoming change. President Trump, thank you.
He's a man of his word.
He wants to get rid of fentanyl. He wants to make sure that we stop the killing of innocent Americans.
President Trump was able to do in 7 weeks what the Biden administration couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years. Right now, as you and I are talking, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation, but it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Why are our Democrat colleagues so determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens? And I'd like to suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically. Remember that every state has apportioned congressional seats based on population, not based on citizenship. Counting non-citizens in congressional apportionment has resulted in more seats for blue states and fewer congressional seats for red states.
But I am telling you right now, that mother back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane.
The storm's on.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and HE in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things. I would say treasonous things, against our country, people that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he perceives as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care.
Hi, folks. We're going to take care of it. Yes, we will. How you all doing this evening? I got up a little bit early. As I mentioned a while back, I was going to try to get up earlier in the evenings. Hi, Sissy. How you doing? Kicking Bird. Robin, nice to see you. Lucky and Miss Mendersue. I got to give Miss Mendersue for some booms for going to buy me a coffee. Big time. I appreciate it, Miss Mendersue. Ha ha ha. Jess and Bean. Mark, how you doing? Lucky, nice to see you. And saying hi to everybody. And all right, nice to see y'all. I caught some of my viewers off guard. I came up early, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing that. Coming up early when I can. And sometimes I put in a time. I'm going to come up at 9:45, and I'm not up till 10 o'clock. I'm like, I try my best. So anyway, yeah, I see the shark post was tied into something from the 17th letter. Very interesting, yes. The Nancy Pelosi truth that Trump put out. I'm sure when he said, "What do you think now, Nancy?" I'm thinking she got some kind of notice of something. Remember, I said there's things, other purposes for subpoenas besides showing up. You know, that doesn't mean, I got a subpoena, I got to go to court. There's one example of a different type of subpoena. It would be a subpoena ducis tecum, which means give me the freaking papers, or give me the information, or give me the phone records, or whatever. So she might have got something like that. Well, give us your bank accounts. She might have got a letter from the I.R.S, which says, we're going to conduct an audit on such and such a date and make sure you and your husband have all your financial records for any bank accounts that you may be affiliated with, overseas, abroad, and domestic. Yes, who knows? But it was some kind of message she got. I believe. That's why Mr. T said, "What do you think now, Nancy?" or something to that effect. So, yeah, Miss Mendersue. Gary, how you doing? Gary's here. Let me see. I got this, my thumbnail I put up. When Dan Scavino put these pictures of B-1 bombers and fighter jets going over the Washington Monument, now we know what it's all about. And it's only the beginning. Remember, the B-52s used to be called Liberators. Liberator bombers. So that's what we're looking at here. Let me get my special effects for Miss Mendersue going buy me a coffee. I'm gonna, what can I put up? Let's see if the hearts work. There we go. They're still ready to hit. There you go, Miss Mendersue. But I do want to give you some booms. There's a boom. There's another boom. And then another boom. Here we go. We have a nice bird fly by. There we go. Thank you, Miss Mendersue. And Wayne and Mike and Bev this week are part of the coffee crowd. I could say coffee troop. I don't know. I've been thinking. I don't know. I'll come up with something. It's all, everybody gets what I mean. But anyway, folks, Trump gave his speech today, and Hillary came out with a tweet. I started off broadcast with it. Whoa, I got to get my my intro video. There we go. Hillary, as you listen to an unhinged Trump try to justify deploying the National Guard in D.C., here's reality. Violent crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low. No, it's not at a 30-year low. It's horrendous. You'd have to be a damn idiot to walk around in D.C. at night. Flannel cheese, how you doing, Melinda? Nice to see you. So, hey, look, where's that one tweet a guy put out there? One of the, I'm trying to, here we go, here it is. Here we go. This guy puts up Peter Baker, whoever the hell that is, citing a non-existent crime crisis. Trump plans to take over the Washington, D.C. police and put troops in the street of the nation's capital. Contrary to his claims, and of course he's going to go in with the Mockingbird Hillary BS, the crime is down for 30 years. Well, this guy answers him and says, I would pay an obscene amount of money to put this fun-sized dumpster journo in a pair of original Air Jordan 1s and force him to walk around D.C. all night on a route predetermined by me while FaceTiming the whole thing. It would be incredible. Yeah, he'd get robbed so damn fast. And the media is so PO'd over this. But I am seeing signs of what I tried to allude to last night is the ABC, CNN, they're showing signs of showing both sides of the story. As I've talked about in the past, signs of participating in the Truth and Reconciliation Act, I do believe that's the case. For example, let me see if did I get that one uploaded. And this may be because of her personal experience. I don't know. But they're talking about, crime's not that bad, blah. And why is Trump doing this? Well, I think the fact that they're saying that it's unusual, there's something behind this, gives me more confidence that there is something else behind this. Behind the calling out the National Guard. It's something bigger going on. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm not the only one that thinks that way. But here's which one is this? ABC News, right? Here, right in the middle of their gibberish of how, well, it doesn't make sense because crime has gone down the lowest in 30 years. The thing they've all been told to repeat like mockingbirds. Here's what she comes up with.
And yeah, usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. One person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It's down from here. And one of my coworkers said her car was stolen from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand. Well,
there you go. She just blew up the narrative on ABC. And I think there's a lot to that. And the other thing You're seeing a lot of crap about, they're saying, oh, he's got all this serious stuff to take care of, like Putin and Zelensky. Why is he coming up with this out of nowhere? Well, they're even trying to say that he's trying to get rid of the Epstein situation, that he's still worried about the Epstein. Nobody cares about the Epstein. Well, we do care, but we're not demanding what they're demanding. They're demanding that they are allowed to release their altered, tampered files. Okay? We don't want that garbage. They talk about gerrymandering districts. Well, they gerrymander evidence. We know that. Most Americans know that now. So if somebody, an anonymous source, a senior official of the CIA, let out some information, we give it a big yawn because we know that they're liars, and we know that they tamper with evidence, and we know that they've been trying to get Donald J. Trump. So, we're not worried about it like you think we should be. Look at what Midas Trash Pail put out today. And I did not click on it. I don't give them clicks. So, they search through freeze frames in videos to find the most unappealing picture of Trump they think they can find. And oh my God, the trial starts now. Trump forced into surprise criminal trial starting now. This was today, folks. What the hell are they talking about? I don't care what they're talking about, but I enjoy looking at the posts where people come in and say, I like your channel, but I read some of it to you. You all are clickbaiters. You all are making mountains out of molehills. You all are exaggerating. Their own viewers telling them that stuff. So anyway, I'm going to keep this in the back of my mind. What are you all trying to drum up? And once you get that level of viewership that you've been artificially pumped up to, in my opinion, you really got to work like heck to keep it interesting, or things are going to fall off quick. They're going to get desperate with stories that are negative about Trump, and they're not going to find them. They're not going to find them. Let me play this one idiot. Let me see if there is an idiot on MSNBC or CNN who brings up the Epsteinio files. Beating a dead horse. Huh. Well, let me see if I can come up with it here. I've got a pretty good clip of Trump giving his speech. Well, I don't know. I guess I'll put it up when I come across it. Maybe it's this one. Here we go. Who's this? Oh, this is Fox News. No, I don't think Fox News would put a jerk like that up. Let me see what this one is about.
We completely agree with the president that crime in the District of Columbia is out of control and something needs to be done with it. We have to go back to how we got here, though. In 2020, the D.C. City Council passed an enormous amount of legislation that handcuffs police officers, exposes them to administrative, civil, and even criminal liability, even when they do their jobs properly. And now, 5 years later, our authorized sworn strength is 4,000 sworn police officers. We currently have 3,180. So we have more than 800 vacancies for the position of police officer. And the way the department makes up for that gap is through 2 million hours of mandatory overtime every year. So the fact that we need help from federal law enforcement and maybe even the National Guard, it shouldn't come as a surprise. And we agree with that. I think one of the issues here, though, is that we all know that's going to be temporary. So in order to fix this problem and make sure that it doesn't ebb and flow and that the feds come in and we lower crime and then they leave and we're left holding the bag, it's very important that people know that there is underlying legislation that needs to be corrected so that we can actually properly staff this police department in order to properly police this.
Yeah, he's in full agreement with what Trump's done. And while he's talking, they're showing the thugs running around stealing stuff. And, 90% of the people, whether they like Trump or not, everybody enjoys seeing criminal elements get what's coming to them, right? Who doesn't like that? I certainly like it. So, let me see. Hi, Graybeard. How you doing? Benjamin, nice to see you. Pappy Two Bears. Nice to see you. Yes, thumbs up is a big help. If you could give the video a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. Yes, a marker when the mainstream media starts telling the truth. Here's a good little marker. Ha ha ha. Pamela Hensley put this up. I've always liked Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan rejects $400 million Disney offer, stating, I do not collaborate with companies aligned with woke ideologies. In a bold move. $400 million. And what does Michael Jordan care what the media thinks of him? Or anybody, he's living his life the way he feels is right for him and his family. And he's got his persona that he's worked for years to have. And, why sully it, right? Why sully it? So, here's a tweet for Mr. T or Truth. Liberation Day in D.C. We are taking our capital back. Yeah. And a lot of other cities. More will follow. I will play a clip from Trump where he says what other cities are going to follow. Let me play this long clip and we'll parse what he's doing. Or this might be the news clip. I don't think this is a news clip. Let me see. Let's see. Here's the commander-in-chief coming out.
It ended up in a war. And and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third-party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody to the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex because you have lines that are very uneven. And there'll be some swapping. There'll be some changes in land. And the word that they will use is, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean, in real estate we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, you know, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Do you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud, some commander made a better you know, they would have been in Kiev in 4 hours going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first. And then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting. Or I may say we can make a deal. If not, I will tell you this. I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. You know, everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it. It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place.
So anyway, that is nonstop Trump. You compare that to Joe Biden. Look at the range of subjects he covered. The different, from a historical perspective of the war, equipment, deals, everything. He's got grasp of it and how they can compare that to Joe Biden. These people that need to come together as fellow Americans need to start taking Trump seriously and listening to the things he says instead of this dopey mockingbird media. I've got shorter clips. Some of them may be redundant, but you know, I can't stop the video every 30 seconds to address. He'll go over a half a dozen subjects in as many minutes. You know, complete grasp of the situation. So anyway, you know, I pay attention to Ruski media. Whoa, what happened there? There we go. And let me see if this is it. Yeah, I think this is it. they put this out. This is an aide to Putin. Kirill A. Dmitriev. Okay? And there you have the Russian version. But he says, I guess on Twitter here, and gives a link to an article, neocons and other warmongers won't be smiling on August 15th, 2025. Putin-Trump dialogue will bring hope, peace, and global security. So what does he know that we don't know? He's supposed to be right up there, right-hand man with Putin. What are they planning on putting together? They're not going through this for nothing. I need to put up something else besides Hillary's stupid tweet. But, oh my gosh, I don't want to put that picture of Bill Clinton in a dress. Here, I'll put this up. Just ask y'all, what do you think the content of this conversation was? Whose funeral was that at? Was that a Jimmy Carter's funeral? I need to think of a caption for this photograph I just put on the screen. I just want to get rid of Hillary, get her out of my studio. But see how they keep their mockingbird message flying. They're all on board with it. Here it is. Putin is definitely not preparing for a ceasefire to end the war. The Russian armed forces are moving troops to start new offenses. This follows intelligence data. That's what Zelensky's saying. And they're still going great guns out there. Here is the way the Russians put this clip out. Wait a minute. Let me see here. See, they got it translated in Ruski. And this is their reporting on this little short clip. And then I'll play it for you. I'm pretty sure I can find it. I'm not going to mess around with Putin, Trump. The U.S. leader announced that he will give the Russian head an ultimatum at the meeting in Alaska. So I'm going to talk to Vladimir Putin and tell him, you must end this war. You must put an end to it. I am not going to mess around with him. And let me see if I got that exact clip that they have above. Yeah, here it is. You see what their translation is. I just read it to you. Let me see if this is the one with the, let me double check the time on that. Yeah, I think this is the right one. I've got both clips. Let me go ahead and play this.
So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me.
He's not going to mess with me. Let me see where I think I have a clip. I think somebody altered that clip a little bit. You know, because they put out, remember they put out, and I read it, that they said that there was going to be tariff on gold, and Switzerland was the largest refiner, was going to suffer the most. Remember I put that out? And I also put out where the Ayatollah Khomeini's granddaughter put out some stuff but they did correct it, and they said it was false, a false account. But they put that stuff out about the tariffs on gold. Well, Trump put this out today. and this was last night, I was talking about a tariff on gold. I think it was last night. A statement from Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Gold will not be tariffed. So maybe he was putting out a little fire there. I don't know. Let me see if this is the same clip. Let's see. Because it seemed to me like that clip was changed a little bit. Let's see.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made. How will you know that? Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Well, it must have been from a different part of the talk. I don't know. But their translation is not exactly the attitude that Trump had. Let's put it that way. And you know, their media, you can't trust them. You can't trust them. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip because the nitwits were hollering about Epstein. If I come across the clip, I'll play it. But this is Harry Ann talking about Epsteinio, right? The American people don't care, like I said, because we know they're going to give us a bunch of phony garbage. We want the testimony that's upcoming. We want tangible proof. We want electronic communications. We want phone records. We want bank records. We want verified flight logs. We want stuff that's real, not stuff that somebody planted. Okay? But anyway, here's Harry Ann.
I would say that this is, from at least a political point of view, quickly turning into a dud of a story. What am I talking about here?
Which is wild.
Which is wild.
This has been for 3 weeks now.
Exactly. Take a look here. Google searches for Epstein down 89% versus just 3 weeks ago, falling through the floor. It is no longer the top term searched alongside Donald Trump's name. That's been trading off between Taros and Vladimir Putin, with obviously the meeting coming up later this week. But at this particular point, the American people's interest in this story, it's quickly becoming something of a nothing burger.
So out of sight, out of mind, maybe, is applying here a little bit. But has it impacted, have you seen numbers that has impacted Trump's popularity, favorability, anything?
No, not really. I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look at the overall numbers. Trump's approval rating in July of 2025, it was 45%. It's still well within that margin of error here at 44%. And you compare that to where he was in his first term at this point. He was at 37%. So he's 7 points higher, very much in a different political universe now, significantly higher in terms of his overall approval rating than he was at this point in his first term. And more than that, among Republicans, his approval rating is near a record high, hovering right at about that 90% mark. So no, he hasn't lost any of that base. And when it comes to that center of the electorate, he's basically holding on there. And his overall approval rating, 44%, is pretty gosh darn good for him, considering where he was at this point in term number one.
What do you think is behind it? Why there hasn't been more movement?
Yeah, why hasn't there been more movement? I think this is pretty simple. Take a look here. Nation's top issue is the Epstein case. This is the number of respondents. This isn't the percentage of respondents. This is the number of respondents. In our last CNN poll, look at this. 0 respondents said that the Epstein case was the top issue. How about among independents? 0 independents said that. And among Republicans, and therefore overall, just a single one. So yes, there used to be a lot of interest in this story, but the bottom line is that even amongst those who had high interest in this story, it wasn't something that they thought was all that important. And as I said at the beginning, the interest in this story has fallen off the table.
Which also, when you look at this and you compare it to just the attention that Capitol Hill was giving it, Donald Trump supporters were giving it, congressional committees were giving it, it is incongruous.
I would just say this. Donald Trump has some of the best political instincts of any politician I've seen. And on this particular issue, you see it full well and clear, because he has been saying, you know, this is not an issue. And it turns out that a lot of the American public actually seem to agree with him.
If you dream it, it will become. John, that's apparently.
Yeah, it's a dead issue. Look how happy she looks. I'm sure she's been given her talking points to pump that stuff. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Hi, Bill. How you doing? Rain, nice to see you. Ha ha. Well, yeah, the thing with Zelensky is the unspoken fact. Hi, Roland, how you doing? Is that he delayed the election. He is not even a legitimate president. He says he's got to follow the Constitution, and he's there in an unconstitutional manner. Justin Bean, how you doing? Who'd I miss? If I missed anybody, I apologize. So anyway, let's see. Let me go through some of these posts. We'll see what Mr. T had to say. Remember, I met with Mr. Lip Bhutan of Intel. Remember that post I put up from Trump when he said the chairman of Intel has to resign immediately? Remember that, folks? Is this guy the chairman? He met with him today, along with Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick and Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent. The meeting was a very interesting one. His success and rise is an amazing story. Mr. Tan and my cabinet members are going to spend some time together and bring suggestions to me during the next week. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's an interesting truth to put out. Hi, Jackie, how you doing? Yeah, that's interesting. One tweet, he's wanted him to resign immediately. And that got somebody, that'll get your attention now. You know, when the president of the United States drops a BOMB like that, right? You're going to pick up the phone and say, can I explain stuff to you? Is that okay? Clandestine, once again, on the wavelength of a lot of anons, right? Something is about to go down. More outlets reporting on National Guard being prepped to move into D.C. Meanwhile, Congress are gone for the month. Summit with Putin is this week. Russiagate grand juries. Not sure what the move is, but Trump is about to make a big move. We shall see. He's certainly got people sweating. Why did Hillary think she needs to come out and interject anything? Who cares what Hillary's got to say about this? Who cares about Hillary, period? Sweeping housing legislation drops as Congress races to avert shutdown. Remember, we've been talking, when are they going to play the government shutdown card? Today, I noticed a lot of different platforms were talking about a government shutdown. When is that going to come up to be in the cards? September? I don't know. I think it might be September. And when is the big fish going to testify about the Epstein stuff? Oh, yeah, Red October. Oh, so you think they shut down the government to prevent testimony? Well, the testimony's coming whether they like it or not, because they've got stuff scheduled in August and September too. Sweeping House legislation. Yeah, housing shortages. Well, maybe we get some of the illegals out. The house shortage won't be that bad. The only reason was to remind me of the possibility of a government shutdown as a defensive move by the deep state. We shall see. Maria Bartiromo again. Hamas rejected half a dozen ceasefire offers to end the ending of life and get more humanitarian aid. Heritage Foundation. Well, remember, folks, Macron and Starmer, both France and UK, have pretty much told the radicals over there, don't make a deal with Israel and we'll recognize you as a state. With friends like that, we don't need enemies. So the longer they hold out, don't you think it would be the other way around? If you work out a peace plan with Israel, we will recognize you as a state. No, they're saying don't do peace and we'll recognize you as a state. Fannie Willis forced to personally beg attorneys to join dysfunctional DA's offices from Diamond and Silk. Don't forget, and it might come out of the blue like a lightning bolt. Any one of these characters who've been participating in this insurrection, this attempt to put Donald Trump in jail, any one of them, it could pop up, or a bunch of them. So remember, Fannie Willis is out there and she's still on the ropes and she can't get anybody. Disgraced Georgia prosecutor Fannie Willis has seen an exodus from her office, rats leaving a sinking ship, since last year's failed prosecution of Donald Trump. So, yeah, the only people, can you imagine the quality of people who would show up to that office to try to get a job? The quality of these people. Here's Diamond Silk again. New York City opens $65 million homeless shelter for trans individuals. So if you're in New York City and you can't find a place, put a dress on if you're a man. Democrat-run New York City opened this week a new taxpayer-funded homeless shelter that will exclusively house individuals who identify as transgender. This is one city, one of their harebrained projects. That's what I was saying. People, when this all shakes out, the amount of money that's going to be saved by Trump's policies getting rid of this crap is going to shock people. Here's a big truth from Trump about what's going on in D.C. Well, this is what he put out last night while I was broadcasting. The press conference on beautification would be held tomorrow, which we just had that. And it will, I want to see, he brings up the military because he did during the press conference. It will not only involve ending crime, murder, and death in our nation's capital, but it will also be about cleanliness and the general physical renovation and condition of our once beautiful and well-maintained capital. We're not going to allow people to spend $3.1 billion fixing up a building. Remember, Michael Horowitz is Inspector General now for the Federal Reserve. So I bet you dollars to donuts he can get every bit of information about this $3.1 billion building. Keep that stuff in mind, folks. He didn't talk about this during the press conference, which could have been done in far more elegant and time-sensitive manner for $50 to $100 million. He's talking about a fraud of over $3 billion. One project in one city. The renovation would have actually been better and we could have saved about $3 billion. Traffic jams and never-ending construction. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, is a good person who has tried, but she has been given many chances. And the crime numbers get worse. And the city only gets dirtier and less attractive. The American public is not going to put up with it any longer. Just like I took care of the border, where you had 0 illegals coming across last month from millions the year before. I will take care of our cherished capital, and we will make it a truly great again. Before the tense squalor, filth, and crime, it was the most beautiful capital in the world. It will soon be that again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I tell you, I can remember even back in the 80s. I told you all a story about when I dealt with an attorney there on K Street. You know, that ought to, anybody knows what I'm talking about there, or ring a bell. Broad daylight, bums in the street. In the nation's capital, where real big shot lawyers are. Real big shot lawyers. But that's another story. I'll tell it another time. I threw a cigar away. And this guy said, "Hey, man, can I have that?" After I threw what was left of my cigar away. I said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead. It's Cuban." And even a bum on the street knew, "Oh, man, Cuban." He picked it up and smoked the rest of it. Allegedly Cuban. If anybody knows about that. But anyway, let's see. Anybody come in that I missed? Say hi to everybody. Everybody. So anyway, here, Newsmax. Like this is news, but that's okay. The Teamsters Union, after nearly 2 decades of supporting solely Democrats, has begun donating to Republican candidates. Teamsters supporting some Republicans in midterms. You don't say. I mean, what are they going to do? What else? What other choice is there? But hey, every bit is welcome. Let me play some of these clips here. Let's see. Is this one Pam Bondi? Here, let's see. It's either Kash Patel or Pam Bondi. Let's see. Or it might be that news report where the guy's trying to resurrect Epstein. I guess I'll just have to come up with it when I come up with it. Let me see here.
Cash, talk about Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General.
Oh, wait till you hear the numbers on children. Now, how come the news isn't putting this all over the place?
The rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi. Your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops, let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much.
You know, I'm wondering what the impact is going to be on the D.C. judiciary. Okay? Judge Boasberg, Judge Chutkin. We all know the names of these people. A bunch of plants, a bunch of deep state plants. Boy, are they going to be under a microscope. Let's see. I think Pam Bondi refers to that. Let me see. Where is she? This might be her. Let's see right here. Prosecutors and judges are going to be under a microscope because the military is going to be in the background. Judge Advocate General. Let's see if this is Pam, or it might be somebody else. Let's see. Oh, it's the boss man himself, I think. Yeah, here he comes. Here's the boss.
I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of... We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOE will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and will deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the streets. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in... It's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department.
Well, he's soft pedaling the military end of it, but then at the same time, he's pretty much saying it's already been given the authority. They've already been deployed. So here's Hegseth, and you'll hear him say that he's got special units lined up. That really makes me say, oh, that makes me feel good to hear that.
President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own. And we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all D.C. police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful. And as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you.
Yeah, specialized units. The politician squad. That's what I'm hoping for. And the judges squad. Anyway, let me see what else we got here. Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. Quickly fix the border. Zero illegals the last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Yeah, and he mentioned the other cities in that one clip I played. And I got another clip where he says they're going to go in those other cities. I'll play it in a minute. But here he's talking about China. He also put up a truth about China that is extending the tariff situation for China another 90 days. Okay, and I'm sure they're playing ball in some shape or fashion with the Putin-Zelensky business. But anyway, China is worried about a shortage of soybeans. Our great farmers produce the most robust soybeans. I hope China will quickly quadruple its soybean orders. This is also a way of substantially reducing China's trade deficit with the USA. Rapid service will be provided. Thank you, President Xi. Well, now we know why he extended their tariff situation another 90 days. I imagine there's big boatloads of soybean on a fast boat to China right about this time. Paul Krugman of the New York Times have been practicing doom and gloom ever since my great election success in 2016. In other words, he's been wrong for years, as all markets have been hitting new highs and are now higher than ever before. People stayed out of the best market in history because of this Trump deranged bum. Sue them. What do you think of that, Paul Krugman? I had a clip. Let me see if I still got it. Oh, Larry Kudlow. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. I had this from yesterday, I think. Larry Kudlow. When are these really loony lefties going to pay attention to reality about the economy, about what's happening with the tariffs, about everything? But anyway, let me see if he's... Kudlow is a financial dude, so let's see what he's got to say.
All the gloom and doom, tariff inflation, tariff recession, tariff catastrophe, none of that has happened, okay? And in fact, as you noted earlier, the tariff revenues are pouring in, okay? He could do as much as $400 billion this year alone in tariff revenues. Imports from China, or let's say Chinese exports to the United States, are at their lowest point in over 20 years. Our trade deficit through June is at its lowest point in the last 2 years.
You know, I think Larry Kudlow takes a nip out of the bottle every once in a while. That's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But he's right, as usual. But I can tell sometimes he's just feeling good. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. I got another clip here of Mr. T. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if this is where he mentions other cities or not. What is this topic of this particular clip? I don't know till I play it. Let's see.
Watch them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any such of this, and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Whatever the hell they want, as if police not doing anything before this.
This is those idiots that are trying to bring up Epstein. And this anchor is saying, oh, well, the police have always been able to do what they want. Like hell they have. Like when they were throwing bricks at Bill Barr and Trump when they tried to burn down St. John's Church. Anyway.
Eddie, what do you make of that? Whatever the hell they want.
Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper. I think there's an ongoing argument that he's having in his head with Black Lives Matter. There's an ongoing argument that he's having with the questions around criminal justice reform and police reform. It's interesting that he really doesn't really care about what's actually happening in D.C. on a certain level, because he's not trying to get at the underlying root causes. He's not looking at examples of how to address rising crime rates that doesn't require a form of policing that leads to increased incarcerality and the like. Let's look at what's going on in Baltimore. Let's look at what's happening actually in places like Baltimore and Chicago, right? So part of what we have to do is to understand. And Oakland, we have to understand this, Chris, within the context of Donald Trump's racial politics and within the context of his effort to get Epstein off the front pages. I understand David's point, but when we try to treat this as a rational response, then we lose sight of the actual politics that's being played here. And he's actually trying to give his base red meat to get them off of the Epstein story, and it's on the backs of citizens in Washington, D.C. He's going to undermine the democratic process in the district. And so I understand what David is trying to say, but we need to be clear about what Donald Trump.
Oh, yes, Donald Trump is a racist, and he's trying to get everybody to quit paying attention to Epstein. Well, we know both talking points are a bunch of BS, and you and your purple glasses can go somewhere. You're an idiot, and I don't know why people pay attention, why they won't wake up, but no, they are waking up, like we just saw with Harry Ann. 89% drop in the Epstein stuff. So anyway, that's what they're trying to pull. They're having fake rage. He's trying to control his rage, and it's all because he wants to incarcerate people of color. Just garbage. But anyway, let's see what this clip is.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job.
Let me tell you, yeah, Pam Bondi, I don't think she's stoned, but I can tell you what, if you got to answer to Donald Trump every day, you're going to be a little wore out if you try to keep up with Trump. I think that's more the case than anything else. Let's see, Babylon B, what they come up with. Trump vows to drastically reduce the number of criminals in Washington by sending Congress home. Now, I wish they'd have said something like lock Congress up. That would have been better. Let's see what this is. Jack Posobiec, J.D. Vance says, quote, a lot of people will be indicted over Russiagate scandal. J.D. Vance, quote, I absolutely think they broke the law, and you're going to see a lot of people get indicted for that. So I coordinated messaging, I believe, getting people ready. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a low, very IQ individual, much in the mold of AOC plus 3 gang of country destroying morons, only slightly dumber. Each of these political hacks should be forced to take a cognitive exam, much like the one I recently took while getting my physical at our great Washington, D.C. military hospital, WR Walter Reed. As the doctor said, President Trump aced it, something that is rarely seen. These radical left lunatics would all fail this test in a spectacular show of stupidity and incompetence. Take the test. Yeah, Jasmine, you're an intelligent woman. Get up there and take that test. Here, I don't even want to put this up. Look at this. This is what they think is funny on Midas Trash Bale Network. Midas Trash Bale Community. The Sensible Rebel. The Dream Song. Things can only get better. Certainly hasn't aged well, has it? What's he talking about? America when Joe Biden was president. America when Donald Trump was president. What world were they living in to even think this has any credibility at all? I don't know. There's something wrong with their brains. Take the test. Take the cognitive test. Here, what's this? Highly respected and very popular Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones is running to be the governor of the great state of Georgia. A very special place to me in that we had a big presidential election win just 8 short months ago, November 5th, 2024. Ha ha. Oh, we've got a real good team looking over the maps and hitting them high, hitting them low, hitting them from right, hitting them from the left, hitting them from the top, hitting them from the bottom, and hitting them where? Right in the effing middle. Remember when Donald Trump said that? What's this? Who's this? Bill Kristol. This is from 2015. So if you see people like Karl Rove, Bill Kristol, remember, you're still with me? My screen went blank. I got no idea why. Man, my screen went blank and everything disappeared right in the middle of my sentence. Let me know in the chats if I'm. Oh, good. You're all still hungry. I have no idea what happened. Yeah, please stand by. Man, I didn't even hit a button. It just went black. Oh, my goodness. I was talking about Bill Kristol. Months ago, I said Rand Paul would get fewer votes than his father. Now I'm saying Donald Trump will not get a single primary, win a single primary. I did not even hit a button when that stream dropped off. Andrew, how you doing? Nice to see you. Well, I hope too many people didn't drop off. Probably about 100 people. You got to give me a couple of minutes when something happens, folks. My diehards are here, though. Gary, Rain, Ann, Sissy, Todd, Roland. I was talking about those neocons. Elva's here. All right. Yeah, I have no idea why that screen went out. But let me see what this clip is. I'm about to wind it up. I was over an hour. Let me see. Let me see what this clip is. Does he mention the cities that are going to get taken over like D.C.?
And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A. is watching. That mayor also. The city's burning.
Yeah, look at L.A., Chicago. He's just getting people ready, I believe. Let me see. I got to have something on the screen. If I, my goodness, I've just about played all the clips. You know, I meant to put this up about 2 weeks ago. If you grew up going to school like this, say yep. Do you all remember going to school like this? I remember it. I remember, like Bill Cosby used to say, uphill both ways. Let's see. I got another clip here. Let's see what it is. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's a graph. 2024 murder rate. Yeah, anybody with a brain in their head knows what they're saying about DC being safe or reduced crime. They're morons. Is this the same clip I just played? What is this?
This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central, no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody, we're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime. Totally weak on crime.
Well, I don't know how they're going to change statutes in New York, or is you talking about doing some kind of federal statute where they won't allow people to abuse their constituents or their citizens? Let's see what this clip is here. I hate these blank screens. Let's see what it is.
Said, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
Yeah, dirty on the inside. Whatever they've been cooking in their kitchen is dirty. Huh. Let's see. I got another clip here. I thought I had Pam Bondi, and she was talking about how she refers to the judiciary, and, you know, it kind of gives me the undercurrent that they're going to be affected. But let's see what Mr. T's talking about here.
Today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you.
He said it twice. You got a lot of people that shouldn't be in there. Got in there because of woke. So that means there's going to be a lot of people going. And I see a lot of yeps. We used to have a strap. You wrapped a strap around your books like a belt. And then you just slung the strap over your shoulder and your books were out there. Did you ever use that trick of putting bread bags on your over your socks before you put your shoes on? You use bread bags to keep your socks dry. Yeah. I wonder how many kids worry about that nowadays. So anyway, let's see how this pans out. Supreme Court formally asked to overturn landmark same-sex marriage ruling. This, I'm not going to get into it too much. This is one of many suits that are coming about to get rid of this federal business, the federal government being involved in a thousands of year old institution. Are they going to pull the same thing? Is it going to be like Roe v. Wade and put back with the states? I don't know, but I don't think it's going to stand this egregious affront to civilization. But this particular case was about a clerk who was jailed for 6 days in 2015 for refusing to issue marriage licenses to a gay couple on religious grounds. The jury gave her $100,000 verdict to pay emotional distress, plus $260,000 for these attorneys that brought that case up for the same-sex couple that wanted to get married. It's just an affront to humanity as far as I'm concerned, which is my opinion, which I'm entitled to have. So we'll see how all this stuff plays out. But what a huge fraud and lie to the American people when Barack Hussein Obama and Mike Shell, during his second run for the White House, told the American people they were 100% in defense of the Defense of Marriage Act. And it was all a lie. All a lie. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Whoops, I don't want to put this one up. Let's see. What do you got to say, Pasovic? New petition calling for Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro to investigate how a convicted P3DO I showed you pictures of these two. They adopted a kid. How they were able to purchase a baby through surrogacy has reached over 10,000 signatures. This should be completely banned in Pennsylvania and all states. So that is in relationship to this same-sex marriage stuff. What a disruption to world civilization. Never mind American culture. But the election of Barack Hussein Obama was a turning point. So here's Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump delayed deploying the National Guard on Thursday, January 6, when our capital was under violent attack and lives were at stake. Now he's activating the D.C. National Guard to distract from his incompetent mishandling of tariffs, healthcare, education, and immigration, just to name a few blunders. Okay, Nancy. This guy says, Chief Stephen Sund, Chief of the Capitol Police. Ma'am, it's long past time to be honest with the American people. On January 3rd, I requested National Guard assistance, but your Sergeant-at-Arms denied it. Under federal law, 2 U.S.C. 1970, I was permitted from calling them in without specific approval. That same day, Carol Corbin at the Pentagon offered National Guard support, but I was forced to decline because I lacked the legal authority. That's called setting the record straight, Nancy. So anyway, folks, got a little clip here of the Capitol. When are these wokey-dokes gonna come around? I don't know. I'm sorry about the little glitch we had earlier. Whoops. I better be careful. I watch what buttons. I didn't touch any buttons when I got knocked off. Let's see. Is anybody in here I didn't see? All right. So anyway, what do I always say, folks? I'm going to play this J6 clip for you all. And I want to thank you all for spending your precious time with me. And I want to thank Miss Mendersu for helping sponsor tonight's program on Buy Me a Coffee. I have a link in the description in both Utizzle and Rumble. Anybody wants to help support the channel. Like Mike and Bev and Wayne that helped out this week. And I always have to thank the chairman of the board, Gary, because I never know when he's going to put something in, and he does more than his fair share. But anyway, folks, like many of you do, I appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great night. Enjoy this little clip. And I should be going live. Well, if you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live. I don't usually broadcast on Tuesdays, but if something big happens, I will. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is the Mountain Man, over and out.
Well, Laura, make it make sense. You'll never make this make sense. The most armed populace on the face of the planet came to overthrow
the government with no weapons.
It's the largest military-industrial complex that ever existed, and they came without their rifles. Where are the rifles? You mean to tell me we came in the midst of children, and we came with grandmothers, and we came with plastic flagpoles and megaphones to overthrow the largest military-industrial complex on the planet? Give me a break.